Life flows from our first breath to our final exhale, whether that journey takes 50, 90, or 100 years. In that time, we face a whirlwind of troubles, economic struggles, social pressures, religious differences, personal relationships, all tangled up with our own fears and desires. We get stuck chasing pleasure, battling loneliness, feeling anxious or angry, and carrying the sting of old wounds. Every one of us across this lovely planet shares that load of pain and isolation. Now, you might wonder, is there a way to live without this constant inner conflict? The only reason we're asking this question is because real peace, true stillness of mind, can't bloom if conflict is running the show. See, conflict isn't limited to wars between nations. It's right here at home, in our everyday relationships, in our sense of self, in how we chase our ambitions. All that frenzy, it's part of us. And if there's no space within where we can breathe freely, how can our minds ever flourish? Look at how we slice life into yours and mine, into one religion or another, into competing ideas, communism, democracy, this God, that God, or no God at all. We do this as individuals too. Everybody's out to guard their own interests. But when we keep ourselves in separate boxes, me over here and you over there, that's where friction sparks. That's where conflict shows up. Take a simple example, relationships. Think of how two people, say a man and a woman, are each racing after their own wants, their own dreams, their own desires. They run side by side but rarely come together in true harmony. The distance that grows between them is what breeds conflict. And where you find conflict, you won't find love. Real love isn't the same as fleeting pleasure or the drama of thought and feeling. It's something far deeper. And in that space, there's no room for me first. But let's step back and see the bigger picture. Each one of us carries deep hurts, fears, the burden of loneliness. And in that sense, we are not just isolated individuals. Psychologically, we share a common ground, an undercurrent of human experience that's been shaped over thousands of years. We are humanity, and humanity is in us. If you grasp this deeply, you'll see that harming another is essentially harming yourself. Yet society keeps nudging us toward individual success, which only feeds separation and conflict. So we ask, why do we live like this? Is there a way out? We've tried to fix ourselves through religion, philosophy, politics, therapy, yet the world's a mess, and we're often a mess inside. Wars rage on, violence flares. We seem to accept it as if it's just how life is. But if we really want peace on earth, we must sort out the chaos in our own hearts. Let's talk about problems and conflicts. Most of us have been trained since childhood to see everything as a problem to solve. Our minds get cluttered with worries and tricky situations. We tackle each new problem with the same old mind, full of unresolved issues, which just gives birth to more problems. It's like we're constantly playing whack-a-mole with our troubles. Is it possible for the mind to be clear, not weighed down by this endless pile of unresolved baggage, so that when a new issue arises, we see it cleanly, without the old heaviness? If we don't keep reliving our unresolved past, maybe we can meet each fresh problem in a new, more genuine way. We tend to depend on politicians, gurus, or experts to guide us. But that keeps us stuck, always waiting for someone else to solve our troubles. Real freedom comes when we see how to stand on our own 2 feet, with a mind that isn't bogged down by fear or confusion. Now let's look at fear. Our species has known fear forever. Fear of loss, fear of death, fear of what other people think, fear for our loved ones, and so on. Fear slips in through our relationships, our religions, our dreams of success, and our memories. Can a person be truly free of fear? To understand fear, we might notice it involves time and thought. We're afraid of what happened in the past, or we dread what might happen tomorrow. Then we dwell on these images in our minds, thought stepping in to conjure up a bleak or terrifying future. So we see how time and thought together keep us locked in fear. But then, what is thought? Thought is the product of our memory, of everything we've learned and experienced. Memory is limited by what's come before. So thought can't help but be limited too. And wherever thought operates in that tight little circle, conflict arises. Because life is boundless, but our thinking is often cramped. This doesn't mean we should never think. We need thought to drive a car, bake bread, solve practical problems. But there's a deeper realm where thought only goes so far. We get stuck when we try to solve every spiritual or emotional difficulty through raw intellect alone. It's like trying to catch the wind with a fishing net, just not the right tool for the job. When you perceive in your own heart that time and thought are the roots of fear, when that truth really lands, it can bring about a shift. The very seeing of it clearly and deeply melts the hold that fear has on you. Then the mind stands free. A mind free of fear has no interest in aggression. In that clarity, you don't want to hurt another, verbally or physically, because you see you are the other. Our dividing walls crumble in that understanding. It's this freedom, much more than any dogma or ideology, that opens us to a peaceful, awakened life. So the question becomes, are we willing to look at ourselves with this kind of clear-eyed honesty? Not to judge or condemn what we see, but to simply notice. Because in awareness, gentle, steady awareness, there is a space where transformation happens. Maybe it's not about chasing after bliss or some mystical revelation. Maybe it's about seeing the very nature of our minds and hearts as they actually are. Messy, beautiful, confused, hopeful, and witnessing how quickly fear and conflict can dissolve when we stop fueling them with thought and time. This is not some final conclusion or a new doctrine. It's an invitation for us to explore, like two friends sitting under a tree asking, what does it truly mean to be alive here and now? If that question burns in you, if you look into it wholeheartedly, a remarkable shift might unfold. And in that shift there is peace.